Yeah, 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 yeah. You look all right.
All right.
Yeah. All right. All right. So it's been a few years since we talked last. When was the last time? 2023, something like that.
I think so. It's been a while. I think you took a little hiatus or something, and then I don't
Yeah.
know, man. It's been like every 2 years. I think we talk.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I used to like to try to do it yearly, but yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of the interviews lately. How things been going in the interim for you?
It's been good.
Yeah.
I'm very very thankful. Um, Basically, I started 8 years ago when when AVOD was something that was kind of laughed at when I was at Paramount.
Mm,
And then when I started my own company, the AVOD platforms are the only platforms I could work with, and so I was able to get all the contracts real early. So I mean, I had like 10 movies, right? So I got all the contracts. Now you need like 150, 200 movies before they even talk to you.
right.
And so yeah, if I had to start my own business now, I think it'd be very very tough.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I see people all the time either trying to start new businesses, distributing films, or trying to start new streaming platforms. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine trying to do either.
yeah. Start the magic of direct to consumer, have your own database,
Yeah.
direct speaking. I mean, it's really fool's gold.
Yeah.
I mean, it took Tubi maybe I think 12 years to get to 100 million
Yeah. Right.
users. 12 million. I mean 12 12 years.
Yeah, and I
Which
wonder I wonder how many, like, Tubi-like companies that, have came and gone in the interim,
oh,
like, they're, like, 1 out of, like, whatever, 1,000 failed ones or something
at
like that.
least, at
Yeah.
least, and it sounds good all on paper, but then when you actually get to the execution, and it's just not marketing. Oh, I have access to millions of people. I mean, you have to constantly feed the engine,
Mm,
and so then yes, I was lucky to get in early and do the yin before the yang of everybody else, and then 3 years ago I was able to do the again a play where the puck wasn't, and that's setting up my own YouTube channel.
right. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so everyone was making fun of YouTube, myself included.
Yeah.
That's a barometer of whether I should do something, whether I'm making fun of it or not. So I started my YouTube channel, and then it's just growing exponentially. I mean, you can't mess with YouTube. It's accessing 3 billion people,
Right.
right? So that just dwarfs any of the US based AVOD platforms,
Yeah.
right?
So let's talk just a little bit about your like transition, so like you went from working for studios,
Yeah,
kind of distributing on your own, and back in the day you were doing some distribution and you were dealing with, TVODs and SVOD, which I assume you still are.
yeah, yeah.
Before AVOD got real popular, but like talk a little bit about that.
So it's amazing how now AVOD is the soup of the day, the flavor of the day, where everyone was laughing at it 10 years ago. Now, they're talking about it all over variety magazines, so people think that they read it 10 times and they think they're an expert. So but yeah, I've been living and breathing this stuff for 9 years. Um, SVOD is, I mean, you're seeing the headlines. They're only doing original programming because they need people to sign up, and they need people to stay,
Mm,
and they need big $100 million plus productions, and that's the reason why they do TV shows, series, because you get them to come back, show after show.
yeah.
They're not licensing independent movies because people unfortunately aren't signing up for Netflix because it's got a small independent film that they're licensing.
Right.
So I mean, it's been a gradual transition from SVOD and TVOD. TVOD really never took off. I mean, there's not a real reason to own. Not like the transition from VHS to DVD, where you have some major league benefits of sound, of access, of no rewinding and all that. I mean, the real benefit of digital is really what? right? It's like you need an internet connection. You can't play it, in your vacation home. The studios, unfortunately, before it even began, already made it into commodity. I mean, to save their last remnant of Blu-rays, their Blu-ray $25 product, they were giving away the digital copy for free. So they already trained, um, you know, TVOD and digital to be, an add-on. So people really, and then with people spending what, $100 a month for Netflix and for Disney Plus and for Max and all this stuff, and then having access to already 200,000 movies from just from Tubi alone.
Right.
It's really hard to get someone to even rent a title, right? Let alone purchase. And then again, even if the purchase, as you were just talking about, the number of streaming platforms that have come and gone. I mean, people have bought it and then they've gone out of business, and then sorry, you don't have your product that you bought anymore, right? So the market has shifted from SVOD to kind of TVOD, not really, to now AVOD. Now the cat is out of the bag, and consumers are finding and they want stuff for free, and they're willing to do it for free. And you know what? They're going to watch pirated versions for free. They don't have any stigma of being, pirating. And now that, Tubi yesterday did the Super Bowl, I mean, hopefully that's going to even bring in a whole nother massive awareness level of Tubi. Because even last year, regular people outside the industry didn't even know Tubi. I mean, even people in the industry didn't even know about Tubi. I mean, thank goodness, Tubi is really making it a kind of a closest platform, level playing platform for independent films to go against major studios, because in the iTunes they were getting crowded out because they were fighting against the newest Avenger movie. You got an Avenger movie here, and you got an independent, $300,000 production, and it's pretty hard to compete. At least on Tubi, you're competing against 5-year-old, 10-year-old Matrix. Right. So at least people already seen all this Matrix stuff, so maybe they'll throw it in there. And again, for free, all bets are off as far as there's no skin in the game. So yeah, sure, why not I click to watch something for free?
Right. Do you worry at all? Like, has the AVOD platforms become more popular and more mainstream? Like Tubi. Like they're doing the Super Bowl. Yeah, that the independent content will start getting buried, even more so than what it is now.
Oh, I mean, clearly, the AVOD platforms today versus a year ago, it's a completely different picture.
Yeah,
because of what you're just saying. Now all of a sudden they're featuring more, less, more major studio product that isn't 5 to 10 years old. It's 3 to 5 years old now. So yeah, right. So we're all facing that. Independent films are facing that. Is now the comparison isn't as extreme. The number of facings isn't extreme, and it's just a function of the AVOD platforms offering a lot of the same non-exclusive content, and everyone trying to differentiate themselves. I mean Tubi, when they first started out, said they would never do original program, just like Netflix said that they would never do ad-supported product. So as any industry gets older, it ages rather, it just gets more competitive. So then you got to do different things, and usually it's the same tricks, just in a different little spin on it, to try to differentiate themselves from the competition. So, but as far as the market getting bigger, that's good for everybody. I mean, you just got more eyeballs to watch the movie. So on the one hand, yeah, you might get crowded out because the AVOD platforms are starting to do originals that they're focusing on. They're trying to show more premium major studio product, but at the same time, you have a whole new bucket of people entering the market, which at the end of the day is the most important thing. Because I mean, a good example is I have a movie. It used to be distributed by Disney. I mean, it has Tim Allen, It has Sigourney Weaver, Ray Liotta. I mean, it's as premium as you can get. They didn't like being the last, the low man on the totem pole at the major studios, and so they came through me via word of mouth. And 3 years ago, it was easily the best-selling title on AVOD out there, right? It was number one at Fandango AVOD. It was a top bestseller at Tubi. But 3 years later, I just looked at today, and it's most popular on Tubi.
Wow.
Right. So that's just an indication of two things. First, that like I just said, the platforms are focusing more on major studio product. But two, it's new to this whole new wave of people that have come to Tubi from the Super Bowl. Right. So yeah, they're going to gravitate towards Kelsey Grammer, Tim Allen product for free, right? So that just shows like the new entry is good. I mean, and also shows the beauty of AVOD in that older product can continually be new when there's new people entering the ecosystem.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about YouTube and how YouTube differs as an AVOD platform, like say from Tubi or whatever, and how you've used it to grow your business.
Right. So, yeah, I used to, like everybody 3 years ago, I was laughing at YouTube. Oh, it's just cat, or not laughing, but just dismissing it as non-premium, user-generated cat videos. That 12-year-olds could, nothing compared to studio level product or even independent film, professionals making content. So I laughed at it, but then a friend of mine said, "Hey, you got to try it," and I'm thankful immensely for that, because so 3 years ago when I started my channel, it blew by that initial probationary get monetized phase of 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 minutes or 4,000 hours or minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly, because my independent B-level content in Africa and Latin America is Academy Award level content, because when it's compared to cat videos, right? So it's always about a comparison, point of comparison. 80% of my views are international, right? So it's all additive, and I'm getting 500,000 views a day. I was getting 1,500 to 2,000 subscribers a day.
Right.
So in a very short amount of time, I just hit the million subscriber mark. And by the way, 1 million subscribers, I got my trophy or whatever, the plaque. Happy by. My kids are like, "Oh, that's the only thing I've ever been impressed by." Because this generation, they all want to be like YouTube influencers or whatever, social media influencers, but they understand that. But it's kind of not a misnomer, but people outside of YouTube know that it's not really about the subscribers, it's the amount of daily views. Right. So you can have 1 million subscribers, but if those 1 million subscribers were from 10 years ago, you still have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
What are you doing today, for me? And that's what the users are demanding. And they're coming back weekly or daily. And if you're not offering it, they're not coming back. Right. So you can have a hit title that maybe it gets 1 million views or whatever, and then that's great, but then it's going to drop right down if you don't keep on feeding the beast. So I have 1,000 movies. I'm releasing 3 movies a week. Wow. So that's why it's just feeding the engine just constantly, and the revenue is significant. And again, it's a point of comparison. It's 3 billion people across the universe, versus basically 80 million to 100 million of households that are using the US primarily based platforms.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why, it's just a juggernaut that's just it's not going away. And then even Warner Brothers, they just announced that they're releasing a bunch of movies for free on YouTube yesterday. Right. Of course, they're starting out with, their oldest stuff. As they should. I mean, the strategy. I was at Paramount, Disney. I did the same thing. It's you got to maximize every window and maximize everything before you give it away for free, right? The only problem, and this is why the industry is having so much problems, is you've lost $20 billion worth of DVD and theatrical business, basically over the last 5 to 10 years, right? $20 billion.
Right. And
And
nothing is,
unfortunately, it's not being replaced by digital dimes.
yeah.
So how can you run a business where you're replacing dollar bills with dimes, right? The math just doesn't work, right? So I mean, it's the only response that the studios can have is just lay off people. And you lay off people, then where does the creativity go, and where does it becomes a vicious cycle. And that's why you only have Avengers 10 out there, Avengers 12, Avengers. No one's getting fired for greenlighting Avengers 10, but someone's going to get fired for trying to launch the next Squid Games.
Right.
Right. And so who's a knucklehead? So that's you got that fear factor of like, you're 2 places away from the ejector seat. You better not take any chances. Otherwise, your day is coming.
Right.
So it just becomes a vicious downward cycle, and nobody has the answer.
Yeah.
I wish I had the answer, but I don't. If I did, I wouldn't be here. But even all these people are making, $50 million running the studios, they don't have the answer.
Right.
All they're doing is just doing the same. And, you can't fight. To fight gravity is a very, very difficult thing. Right. And if you're, and so you can, if your measurement of success is you got to have a grand slam home run every time at bat, which is very, very difficult. And in any sport, NBA champion or World Series champion, they're doing it, hit by hit or, yard by yard. They're not doing it by touchdown on every throw.
Right.
Which is the studio's like predicament. Is they had just to break even. I mean, Avatar make $1 billion just to break even. Are you kidding me? Right? I mean, who can run a business that way? Right. So if it's hard at that level, then take it downstream at the independently. It's I mean, it's pennies when you come to people that are trying to make films and make money, and that's why it just seems so daunting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, people just cannot believe it. And the go-go days of the indie, black cinema, and all of those hot point, not hot, just hot genres that were just unbelievable. They're not there anymore.
Right.
So that's why I am thankful that I have YouTube actually that kind of hedged the bet.
Yeah, I was going to say just on my library, which is much smaller, I only have about 100 films. But I have seen my TV revenue on library titles fall off by at least 50%.
Oh yeah, 50 to 70%. That's
least.
across the board. It's not just you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
across the board. I'm always asking, and it's a confirmation. I mean, it's just the market has changed.
Yeah.
And that's why YouTube is so great, because the market is still so fertile outside the US.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the only platform of mine this year that has actually grown. Like it hasn't, at least mine, I haven't surpassed my Tubi earnings yet, but the gap is like closing pretty rapidly.
Yeah. So it's, I've become a endpoint distribution for a lot of other distributors because of that.
Because of YouTube.
Yeah, I'm 80% international. I have 50% women, right? And that's, traditionally, and the AVOD platforms and every early adopter category is always, very stacked toward the males. That's why the violence content and the horror stuff really pops, and the family content, is a little bit laggard. I mean, in the middle America, DVD is still a very viable product. Right. It's just not hooked up, and you can work, you can still play it in the rural areas. You don't need to hook up DVD, internet connection. You can throw it as a frisbee. It's got a lot of benefits still.
Yeah. To exploit foreign on YouTube, are you having to are you re-subtitling or anything like that, or is it doing it all in platform?
It's doing it all in platform as far as subtitles.
Yep.
I do Spanish and Portuguese dubs, and that's just an incredible way of making a new film, basically, at a fraction of the cost, because it's an entirely different audience.
Right.
Yeah. So that's been very successful for me, actually.
Yeah, I've been hearing of people like starting to do new dubs, like using AI and stuff like that to do like dubs in different languages now, where it's like much more affordable. I know a distributor I work with was talking about doing that on a couple of my films.
Yeah, the AI still, it's just a matter of time before it becomes really good. I mean, right now it's not there. It's still
Mm,
choppy, and when you got multiple sounds and people talking, and
right.
it's not there yet. It's just a matter of time before AI, and the cost is so much cheaper. But yeah, I haven't pulled that lever yet.
Hmm.
I have a very good um, uh, human dubber, I guess, if you
Right.
call it. But it's been an incredible way, like I said, of making a whole new movie.
Do so with YouTube, like how are you continuing to grow your channel? So you feed about 3 new titles, a week. Like do you work on the older titles sometimes, ones that aren't performing, like messing around
Well,
with the
see, again,
metadata?
that's the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that
Mm,
all of my growth is organic. I'm not spending any advertising money. People are looking for this content,
right.
and I'm getting 500,000 views a day. 500,000 views a day, right? So, and then 1,500 subscribers a day.
Yeah.
It's just exponential. So people find it, they search it, I mean, again, it's back to like trying to create your own channel and spending tens of millions of dollars to try to build that infrastructure and that capability. And then you need hundreds of millions of dollars to get people to even come and to come back.
Right.
Like, and then you need to have an ad sales force. I mean, it's like, I mean, YouTube is amazing. I mean, tapping into that infrastructure already in place,
Right.
right? I mean, it's like why try to reinvent the wheel, and just, I mean, the roadside is just littered by people that have tried to create their own channels, and big companies, right, have lost billions of dollars doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's not no exaggeration, right? I mean, it's just crazy how many big companies have tried and have failed. And then, you know, well, everyone's making a big deal about, you know, Disney going profitable at $300 million. Okay, so just think about that. It's like, well, that sounds really good. Oh, finally profitable, making $300 million, I don't know, for the quarter,
Mm,
for the year, I think, from the last announcement. But, you know, okay, so that in without context sounds, oh, that's pretty good. But the greater context is 7 years, $12 billion put in.
right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you put it in, and now you're all happy because you're not losing any money, but then, oh, you just made $300 million, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So people just kind of look at that piece without knowing the other piece.
Right.
I mean,
I think on a macro level, like the whole streaming thing, the subscription and the TVOD based things, I think it was always going to be a house of cards. Like there was never
it's
going to be
true.
enough, direct money coming in from those views to justify, any kind of real spend.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
which I think that's why AVOD is becoming more popular now, because it's not so much the platforms paying anymore; it's the advertisers, kind of like the old TV model.
it is. I mean, back in the day when Hulu had its hybrid model of, I mean, they were the first, with offering ad-based and a subscription.
Yeah,
And people don't even know, or they refuse to learn or not exposed. But when the market was for their audience was like 70%, 30%.
mm,
70% people just assume, being in the business, oh, it's a subscription based. But no, 70%, and this is 10 years ago, 70% was the ad-based portion, because
yeah,
people want it for free.
yeah,
They want stuff for free. Unless it's something truly, extraordinary, they'll pay for it. But the bigger audience, if you really try to put a market cap on both audiences, the bigger market is people are gonna do anything for free, and they'll go to the bathroom break or get a drink in the fridge when it's going, and then they're fine with it, right?
right,
That's there's that's that's just like it's almost human nature, and they've been conditioned that way from the past. I mean, think about it. You're right. Back in the day when we were rocking Cheers and Friends and all that for free, it was ad based. It was for free though.
Yeah.
Right. And that was so it's just I call it back to the future.
Yeah.
Right. It's just back to the future.
Yeah.
And then the other analogy I tell a lot of clients and people is this whole, and again, it really is easy to postmortem and to say, oh, there was no market for that, right? But I basically say, it's like if you had a Mercedes, let's just say you had a Mercedes dealership, right? And those are high-end cars, and they charge $100,000, let's just say $100,000. People buy it, and there's a good market for that. Then all of a sudden you just said, hey, you know what? I want to change my business model. I want everyone, instead of paying me $100,000 per car, I want them to give me $15 a month, and they can come to my lot. They can drive it. They don't even have to return the car, right? They can do whatever they want. Just give me $15 a month, and then then they scratch their head and they say, well, why is our business like kind of evaporated? No one's buying the car anymore. It's like, why should I buy the car? It's for free, and I can drive it on forever, and I don't even have to return it on the lot. Just paying you $15. Right. That's kind of what happened with the whole entertainment business. They keep on unfortunately, it's been self-inflicted wounds, right? And it's always, hey, if there's no future, if there isn't a present now, right? So it all started when we had the $4.99 Walmart dump-in. You had a product that was $30, and all of a sudden you're like training the consumer, oh, $3, $4.99, then $3.99, then $2.99. It's like, go. Then you got to comp against all of that big business that you just had to make your bonus. You had to do that, so you do it. So just a vicious cycle. Oh, last year it was $4.99. We're not going to get the same orders from Walmart. We better do it $2.99, right? And all it takes is one studio to like go there, and then they're the ones that are kept, and everyone else follows, right? Because they're going to lose the business. But so it's all been a self-inflicted wound, but over time that has been finally the results show up. Right. But it's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get fired if I don't make my number. I better do it. And I'm not going to be here 10 years from now. So who cares? So they do it. And then it repeats itself. So you constantly having to, once you've kind of sold your soul to the devil like that, you just have to keep on giving. So then, Blu-ray, we got to keep those sales going on. What are we going to do? What's going to be that? Oh, let's do a free digital copy. Right. And then what does that do to the perception of the digital copy? It makes it for free and zero, right? So it's all like just pointing to free, and then finally you try to charge someone for the digital EST or even rent. It's like, well, why should I? It should be free. I'm not going to pay for this, right? And so it's like, and then even now the AVOD dam is just starting to burst, right? All of a sudden, now Warner Brothers is doing it because it's like, where else are they going to find the other nickels that they need? Because they're looking for nickels and pennies to really, burn in the furniture. Once you burn that furniture, you all of a sudden you can't stop. Then you got to look for every other piece of furniture or anything in the house to start burning. Right. Yeah. So basically, that's just a nutshell of the industry for the last 15 years. Right. Yeah. It's just sad, actually.
So like with a YouTube channel of your size now, over 1 million subscribers, like what kind of work is that to maintain?
Well, it's a beautiful thing that the infrastructure is in place, right? And so it's funny, a pirate can go and steal your movie and then put it up and then make money and in a day. Right. But if you want to do it legally, it's hard. You got all these content music claims coming in, then you get then you got to show them the license, and they get 30 days to respond, and then it takes a lot of time to do it right, to do it legally, which is kind of sad, but it's also necessary. So I mean, the nice thing about my YouTube channel is that even though I am leaning on the YouTube infrastructure, at least I have complete control. I don't have to, I can merchandise, I can put, I'm just launching a whole new K-drama movies because K-drama is taking over. So I went to the Busan Film Festival and I got a bunch like 50 Korean movies. I'm gonna now put that row of K-dramas, right on the top row. I can move it up. I can put in different trailers. At least I have more control. I don't have to pitch something, hope it gets accepted, wait, on delivery or whatever. It's like I can do whatever I want. So it gives me a lot more freedom to manage, hopefully, give my company to my kids, at least they got a future. I mean, the things are changing. I mean, the kids today, they have such attention deficit order, like as far as their content and a movie is long for them. Right. And I mean, let alone a movie in our generation, we had to see it on a big screen and all that. Now, I mean, their big screen is on the phone, if you don't show a killing or something in the first minute, they're gone. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What have you found in the last year? What's been some of your more popular genres?
Well, I would say that from the get-go, when I started my company, the two markets that were underserved by the major studios, and it's still the case today, is the faith and family market and the black audience, from a production as well as a consumer just content point of view. So those audiences are underserved. There's not a lot of product, compared to other genres, and they're actively searching for this product, which is perfect for YouTube audience. Is they're looking for free faith and free Christian movies, or they're looking for free black movies. And so that's why I don't have to do advertising. I mean, that's the best thing, is when people are searching for it, right? And the YouTube algorithms are incredible, how movies just get serviced up. But yeah, it's still the case. It was the case 10 years ago, and it's the case now. Is the genres that are like the most fertile are black cinema and faith and family. And the audience is, so if you think about it, it's like where the no ad space is being a higher premium is when people don't want to see ads. So what are those types of content where people don't want to see ads? It's a lot of faith-based titles. John Schneider is gold. He has a built-in audience. They don't, C.S. Lewis, he's the man among the Christian, speakers. People, I have a C.S. Lewis movie that is way overperforming that people want. There's more people. Actually, it's flipped. It's crazy. Normally it's 90% rental, 10% purchase. With my C.S. Lewis movie, it's flipped. 90% ownership, which is crazy, versus 10% rental, right? And so there are certain figures out there that, and audiences that will pay to not have the ads, or even pay to own versus just renting even, right? And so that's the magic ticket, and they're few and far between, to have that kind of installed fan base that wants to buy.
So we talked about this last time, but I figure we'll reiterate since you're still running your company. When you're looking at new stuff, like what do you look at? What are you looking for from filmmakers?
Well, like I said, faith and family and black cinema content is always going to get a second look. I probably get about 30 submissions a week, 30 submissions a week.
Okay.
I'll probably take one a week, one out of the 30.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm in the business of selling key art.
Right.
And so, obviously, and there's just so much out there, clutter, that just too much, right? So the only things that are going to break through the clutter are key art.
Mm.
and the type of content that I've been talking about. So that breaks through the clutter. Dramas are tough. I don't take docs, stand up reality, like as a general. I took a doc, it was from the NBA. I mean, how can you not take it from the NBA?
Right.
And then I had an OJ Simpson doc. I mean, that just sounds like hotcakes. But everything else, doc wise, reality wise, stand up wise, I mean, unless it's something that's so unique, it's hard to get anyone to purchase. And even among the ad based crowd, it's hard because in general, that audience is younger and male, and they just want action. They want action and horror and that type of content. But so star power is also something that if you got I said the same line. I think I keep on saying the same line.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a great movie,
right?
But at least it's higher quality, and your eye will naturally look towards that in the sea of just faces and just art that all looks the same, right? But yeah, star power is always the great kind of first blush. Is there any star power? From a buyer's perspective, they use IMDb like it's the Bible, and it's we're in the business of on a purchasing side and on a consumer side, right? I mean, you think about it, like, what are you going to watch on a Friday night? And everyone's just like, it's a 30-minute decision to whether to do it, right? And so actually, now that you mentioned it, I mean, of that 30 that I get, probably 80%, 70% is docs and shorts.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
I'm like, everyone says, oh, this short got this, Timbuktu Film Festival. I'm like, great. And there is no market for shorts. How come? It should be. I'm like, when you're with your friends, are you like going to say, hey, what short are we going to watch tonight? It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just not. It's not a consumer thing.
Yeah.
Right. So, unfortunately, producers, God bless them. They are incredible. That they have that creativity, they have that perseverance, they have that dedication, that single-minded focus to get someone to fund their movie, to make a project, have to stick with a project that could take 5 to 10 years to make. Wow, amazing. But then once you finish it, you got to take off that producer hat, and you have to really, really say, what is this market? Who's the consumer? And they refuse to, and they confuse, or they just, because they're so invested, they think that, because they've given half their life, their left arm, whatever, that someone's going to buy, they're going to watch it. Unfortunately, you take that hat off, and you just, from a consumer point of view, it's like, no one cares if someone has given their left arm to make a movie. So what? They're all giving their left arm to do their job, to do whatever they're doing to feed their family. And it's just like, the decision point is, okay, guys, what are we gonna do for the next 2 hours to entertain ourselves? They're not saying, hey, I want to help out an independent filmmaker, with this short.
It's really hard for filmmakers to wrap their head around the fact that their movie is not entitled to an audience.
Entitled. I mean, I'm one of the freedoms I have, from being in the studio system, is being able just to say whatever I want to say. Like, I'm telling you this stuff, I could never say this in a meeting, in a major, green light. It's like, oh yeah, beautiful Emperor, is beautiful. It really has no clothes, right? Now I'm able to just see something and say, hey, I'm sorry, but it's buck naked. The best I can do is I can give you some underwear, I can give you some gloves, but that's it, and if you don't want to hear what I have to say, that's great, because we shouldn't be doing business, because I'm not here I don't want to kill your dream. I'm not here to tell you, what you want to hear, which is, it's a beautiful, fully clothed. Go to someone else is going to tell you that. And by the way, that's why there's so much fraud in our business.
Right.
You got a lot of people first time filmmakers want to hear this stuff, and there's some people that will tell you the emperor is fully clothed.
Right.
And
And
then you like wonder, like, wow, how are these people, like, everyone knows in the business that they're just fraudulent.
Right.
And they're just continually like live and why? It's because there's constantly new filmmakers wanting to hear the story. Right.
And I
mean, it's crazy, but that's and they want to hear that.
Yeah. And I don't think it's always like this, malicious misleading from distributors. I think it's literally they're telling people what they want to hear so that they keep the conversation going, so they get the movie, but filmmakers, not only do they want to hear it, they believe it. They believe that their baby is beautiful, and and that it's perfect, and it's going to do wonderful things, and it's just not the case with like
but they had to
90%.
have that passion
to
make the project. So
totally
their greatest strength becomes their greatest weakness on the back
on the
end.
back.
Right.
No,
so they have to believe it. Right. Otherwise, like, what did you wasted my life for 3 years, and this guy is telling me that you're going to make $20,000, and I put in $200,000 into this, and you're only going to make 20,000.
Well,
I
even
don't
gets
want to be in those conversations. That's why I just basically I say no. First time. I mean, because it's just, life is too short. I don't want to. When someone doesn't want to hear something, and they don't even know what they don't know. And I'm not in the business of teaching.
Right.
I mean, this is why I love to have these things and people hear it, and it's like, okay, and so if you want to, I mean, everything I say is fact-based. This is the truth of the matter, right? And so you can choose to ignore it, but if you know where the landmines are, then you can actually have a strategy and adapt to it.
Totally.
Right. But refusal is not going to make something go away. Right. And so half of the 30 I can just right off the top, like I said, I know that
not even the right
genre's not going to work. And then the next peel is like, okay, so do I have a first time filmmaker that just his laser focus, like, my movie is better than 10 of these movies on Netflix, it should be on Netflix. Or I read a headline, that Netflix is spending $20 billion, they should buy my movie. You sell my movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not dealing with irrational people. I got better things to do. And I don't, I say no to $5 million movies all the time. I don't say yes to them, actually.
Wow.
Because like I say, I know I can make, let's say $1 million, and commission on 20% commission on, or on $1 million. That's pretty good for me. But I don't want to freaking hear like 4 million. Where's my 4? I got to make 4 million. Where is it? How come you can't do it? That's not worth it to me. So I'd like say, please go. And the funny thing now is 5 years later, 4 years later, all these people that I said to, they're all coming back. Coming back,
ready to take anything at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. So they've already written it off. So that's the best case scenario with, when you're doing, I mean, for me, because I'm all about just no more, no hassle, no confrontation, no problems.
Well,
and when someone has written it off, and all of a sudden I'm giving them thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars that they didn't have, that they written off. It's like they're happy. Right. Then I'm happy. Then they're not calling me in this. So that's how I whittle away, that 30 submissions to like, it's like one.
So I've talked to you, and I've talked to a couple other distributors that deal, with movies, under the $1 million point and don't take larger ones. So, but my question is like, so I know it's not really your thing, but like, are there places where people are going with $5 million movies where they can like make those back?
There's plenty of people that will do that, right? And those are the same ones that are going to all the film festivals and they're bidding for money and giving out MGs. And there's some people out there that say that don't take a deal unless you get an MG. It's like, I mean, okay, then you're going to be waiting a long time, because just like there are lottery ticket winners, that win billions of dollars, but no one talks about, the millions of people that didn't win that lottery.
Yeah, that don't.
And
And
by the
this is
way,
and this
okay,
has always been true. Even in the 90s when we were
yeah,
talking about the independent explosion, you talk about 5 or 6, like, famous filmmakers, and there are hundreds behind them that
exactly.
didn't make it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and so
yeah,
again, you have people
yeah.
that are so single-minded, like, "Oh, no, this is Slumdog Millionaire." It's like, "Okay, good luck. I don't wanna deal with you." Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
Yeah,
there are. It's just, the numbers are not they're not in the favorable one. I mean, people know that I mean, most people know that in Vegas, it's like you're not gonna win, so don't go there to try to make a career out of it. It's more of a recreation.
right.
But that's a known thing. But again, among filmmakers, they just think they're gonna win. They're gonna beat the house, and
Yeah.
the odds I think are even worse among filmmakers than it is at Vegas,
Yeah, yeah, it's
right?
yeah, I've come to that realization. It took me many years making movies to really wake up to it. And then you can say, like, what's worse, the naivete or somebody like me, like, I know the facts. I know where my movie's set, and I just made a $200,000
Good for you, man.
horror movie that I know there's a good chance I won't recoup that money. Like, I know it, but I spent 2 years on it anyway, and
And
I'm
there's
doing
yeah,
everything
I
I
mean,
can, you know?
again, the thing is, this is I keep on repeating stuff, and I apologize if
No,
I've
it's
already
okay.
said it in videos. It's just I say it so much to so many people, so many clients. I mean, potential clients. And again, I am not a Dr. No dream killer. I do not want to do that, right?
Right, right.
I just see it as I call it as I see it. I sold 5,000 movies. I've been wrong. There's plenty of examples I've been wrong, and it happens. But when you go to bat, you're not always going to get a hit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
way
yeah.
it is. So but talking about sports, it's if I give you a golf club and I say, here, the first time you bring out the golf club, you're not going to be playing at the Masters, period. Or you
Right.
play, basketball, you're not going to the NBA championship, period. Nobody has any qualms about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
among filmmakers, this is their first film, and they expect it to go, to the world championship.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in what world? Not any sporting world, because there's no time, there's no score, there's no, you're not Shaquille O'Neal at 7 feet tall, whatever. All it is I think this is a good movie, right?
Right.
And what does that mean? It can't get any more subjective than that,
Yeah. Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
a first-time filmmaker, it's the first time in any endeavor, and they think that he should be, at the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah,
That's
no,
like
I
a
know what you're
real, like, comparison,
yeah, yeah.
metaphorically or whatever. But that
It's
exactly what it
illusion.
is. But it's like, why on your first at bat do you think you should be at the championship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no,
Well, because
it's
you had that
delusional.
mentality, thank God, to make it,
Yeah, yeah.
and then if you were getting offended that I'm even saying that, it's like, for sure we shouldn't be talking. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, but again, it's because it's so subjective, right? I mean, Academy Awards, like, what is the standard of, like, you didn't have a Super Bowl and a playoff and the time to beat or anything, right? It's just a bunch of people, like, voting on a movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand half those movies.
Right.
Like, I would never watch them, but they're the best. Like, what
Mhm.
is the best? And it's all about relative comparison. A B movie here that didn't have zero box office, no nothing. I've had 10 million views on
Yeah.
some of these movies,
Right. Yeah, yeah. And
right?
and and I think people need to realize that, you can eke out a career hitting singles,
There you
and
go.
or even bunting. Like
There
I would
you
I
go.
would I would probably say my career is a career of bunting. I've made many, many small movies that have made little small profits, and collectively I make a pretty good living. And then,
You're smart, you're strategic,
yeah,
you're playing within your lane, and that's me too. I'm not gonna, like, risk my business by throwing out MGs, or making originals, or going into, like, trying to make movies. This is
right.
my lane, this is my lane, and it's been very good. I have 200 clients that are very happy. They don't leave because, I pay them monthly,
Yeah.
mailbox money coming in. It's great. Again, I think that is the problem is with a lot of successes. All of a sudden it goes to your head, then you think you can go beyond your lane, and then you have got problems. Then you're playing in spaces you're not used to, and that's what happens a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Totally. So, what do you think? I mean, I know this is a really almost silly question, but what do you think the future holds? Or we just have no idea? It's like we're just kind of ready to adapt.
No one ever thought that Netflix was going to ad supported,
Yeah.
right? They said, I mean, it was in their thing, in their mantra. We're never going to do it, you know. And then sure enough, they're doing it, right? I mean, it's just getting. I think the ad supported market is hitting the dam is breaking. It's flooding. The newer content has come in. Like, I mean, the fact that Warner Brothers is doing the YouTube thing, that just shows like, you can only fight gravity so long, and then, or you have to like adapt and play with the, where everyone is. Sorry, for some reason it went. But I think ad supported is just going to explode. And the subscription and the TVOD, I don't see those things, those trends improving. I just see it, hitting there is always a market for all that, but it's not up like, everyone was hoping. It's going to decline, and it's going to find, its baseline. I mean, just like people think, oh, rental market is going to take away from sell through and all that. I mean, sell through is, it's at its $2 billion thing, and renting versus buying, it's hitting its baseline. It's not going to go away, but it's not the party that everyone was hoping for.
Right.
But yeah, it's just going to get hard. It's just going to get harder. I mean, these AVOD platforms doing originals, they said they were never going to do that, and unfortunately, everyone is looking for the magic bullet. Oh, now we're going to do, you can shop while you buy. Oh, you can do 3D. Oh, you can do fast channels. It's like, okay, so, now is the buzzword fast channels, right? It's like, well, how can you can do my response to fast channels is this. If you have a crappy movie that no one wants to watch, putting 500 other crappy movies with it ain't gonna make it more watchable.
I know. Whenever independent filmmakers talk about like banding together and creating these like independent film channels, that's the thought that goes through my head. Like, so I'm like, I don't want to crap on my peers' work, but the truth of the matter is, like, if you take 10 movies, independently made or studio made, 6 or 7 of them are going to be not to your liking. Like it's just averages. But then who is going to want to watch a whole channel of like independent, like less than $50,000 budget movies? I mean, I make less than $50,000 budget movies, and I'll be straight up honest. As a viewer, I don't watch those. Like, unless it's a friend of mine who's made it, and I got to watch it and give it notes, or support it. Like, I do that. But like, as a viewer, I don't watch those things.
I know. I mean, okay, so back to the fast channel.
Yeah.
The only success and exception to that bashing I just did is single IP. Right. So like, if you have a Gunsmoke with 13 seasons and install base, all things Gunsmoke, what you're getting. People are using that as their background stereo music. They're just doing that, or they're putting it on, keeping it on to make their their dog and their pet to not miss them when they're out. So they're continually running it. What I'm saying? Even on the all that. Okay, so you get higher CPMs because the ad stuff, lifestyle and all that stuff. How much of it is background music, and all that, and how, if they ever able to do the linkage between, watching an ad and purchasing, I mean, the whole industry is dead.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's even back in the day. It's like, hey, a Sports Illustrated magazine. You spend $80,000 for an ad in there. It's just lying on the table in the barber. It's like, how did that influence anyone purchasing, whatever that deodorant or the car was, right? It's like, okay, you're just shooting for eyeballs. But the fallacy of connected advertising and internet advertising is that, oh yeah, you are reaching, that audience easier to reach. But at the very end of the day, it's like, how are you converting? right? How are
Right.
you converting? Because how can you say that because of that ad, like they actually purchase? I think, okay, right. So so that
Yeah.
is the clouds and that ad salespeople are doing with with advertising. I mean, that's the whole thing of why, 50% of it is wasted, but I don't know what 50%, right?
Yeah. It's so hard to
Yeah,
quantify. I
exactly.
had
But sitting there, but and the thing is people don't realize that the fast channel is another, like, unless it's single IP, you're toast. And the only
yeah.
people that they're pushing the fast channel stuff are the fast channel technology makers that are charging $30,000 to enable that a fast
Right. Yeah.
channel, right?
Yeah. Um.
It's gonna be again, outside of the gun smokes of the world, it's gonna be yet another, 3D,
Yeah.
trying to find the magic bullet. Or now, whatever, purchasing while you're making the movie or whatever. It's like no one wants to do that. They just want to watch the movie. I want to purchase the clothes that they're
Yeah.
wearing on the thing, but we can do it with this and that technology. It's like
Right.
I mean,
Um.
it's fundamentally not the consumer behavior.
Right.
Right. And by the way, fast channel it's not even like on demand, for crying out loud. It's linear.
Right.
Jason, we got to stop. I got to go watch, my fast channel, that's the program that's starting in 10 minutes. It's like no one
Yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
do that. It's
No.
against the trend. But it
Yeah.
is like everyone trying to find something to replace that lost DVD and theatrical money, basically. And just
Right.
finding all these bullets. I mean, what is the ultimate thing? Make better movies at a fraction of the cost. That's basically it. You have to lower your cost to the nth degree, and putting in expensive music thing. No one's watching your movie because of the music, unless it's a musical or Grease or something like that, right?
Mm.
But it's like like cut every cost that you possibly can when you're making a movie, because the end payout has calmed down so much, right? That's the only way to solve that math equation, is to lower that expense ratio,
Mm.
expense part of the P&L, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So when someone's like, "Oh, it's got to have this music," I'm like, "You're really going to spend that kind of money, for that music?" It's like, that's not going to add one more view to your movie because it had, whatever song in it.
Mm.
Right. So again, I feel bad when I love this business. I love filmmakers. I've been doing this for 25 years. It's just, you got to be smart about it, right? I've been wrong plenty of times. I'm just playing on right now. I'm just talking about, overall top line observations. There's always exceptions, and I am looking for those exceptions,
Mhm.
100%. Right. So I do know right away when there is an exception to whatever, general guidelines I'm stating, and I'm not trying to diss anybody. I want everybody to be happy. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
plenty happy away, at an alternative distribution place, if that's what you want.
Right.
This is America. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not trying to force upon anything. And again, I am coming from the perspective of what's going to sell, period. I'm not
Mm.
a film student. I'm not a, cinematographer. I am just saying what I have observed, over from 20 years of doing this and selling, thousands of movies, right? I'm done like watching movie, being moved and crying, and like, and I can't pay someone to buy it, or to,
Right.
to and then on the flip side, it's like, oh boy, am I really going to take this movie? I'm definitely not going to advertise it on my website, or tell my wife I'm selling this movie. But boy, I'm not shy about cashing in the check for hundreds of thousands of dollars either, right? So it just goes both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to tell that to everybody, that, and again, the other thing that is painfully obvious is in our industry, is that, it's like it is like the elephant and the blind men, touching different part of the elephant. you know, and thinking that that's what an elephant is. You know, one blind man holding on the trunk, another one holding on the tail, another one, you know, they all see only what they see. I mean, they're not even seeing it, but they only think that the world is what they experience. So one, you know, guy, the one holding the tail thinks it's like a snake. The other one thinking holding the, you know, and then they try to like use that little data point to generalize across for everybody. Right. And it's like, no, that's just your experience. And I'm only talking about, you know, my experience, which, you know, I've seen the trunk, you know, it being in the studio. I've also seen the tail now, you know, and on the independent side. And, you know, but it's a big beast, and it's not just your little corner of it to make it, you know, to make it a blanket a statement. Because I do see a lot of people saying, oh, you know, do this or self-distribute. Like, you know, I mean, it's like, okay, that might work for you. And again, it's all about, you know, where you want to live and where you want to compete. But it is hard to compete against the major studios, period. Right? They just have the millions of dollars spent, you know, the millions of dollars of promotion. So it's hard to compete in that space. Right. So anyway.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, look, John, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. If people want to check his YouTube channel out, it's Deep Sea Digital on
Indeed.
YouTube. And I assume there's contact on there if somebody had a film they wanted to reach out to you about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks a
Well,
lot.
it's good catching up, man.
Yeah.